I think maybe even Dirty Jersey Rat. Dirty Jersey. Yay! I love that song.
Yeah, John, man. You think he does any sort of fact-checking or anything before he talks? I haven't even listened to the thing on YouTube. Or, excuse me, Twitter is where I saw this clip. Maybe I should. Maybe I should just at least see what he's saying. You talk about Bob Levy? Okay. Pat Dixon. Okay, already I have a problem with it. He goes, Levy and Pat Dixon are going to question what I did. I'm not questioning it at all. I'm saying what it is. I'm saying it's a cop-out. That's not a question. I don't have any questions. I got all the answers. I can tell by looking at you. I can tell by looking at your actions where you're at. I can tell by the way you handled that situation who you are. So no questions. Shit, dude. Where did you hear questions? You're going to question what I... No. Not only criticize, but condemn. Not only condemn, but I guess I pretty much just showed outright contempt for it. I have contempt for that kind of thing. You know, it's a comedy club stage, and he goes up and just chooses to make some kind of a bullshit, what he's pretending to be as some kind of social statement. So no questions. Again, I don't need to ask. Okay, he says Bob's not a real comic. He's not a real comic. He doesn't headline real comedy clubs. Well, you know, real comedy clubs, I'm pretty sure that Levy would have no problem booking a headlining date at Rodney's, okay? I don't think there would be any problem. You know, where are these great venues that are booking John at this point? Didn't he go work at like a movie theater? Yeah, John was working at a movie theater when OJ went to see him. Is that a real comedy club? You know, I don't know how long John's going to coast on last year's fucking dates, last year's bookings, 2 years ago's bookings. But I don't know when the last time John headlined a, whatever these comedy clubs are. The Improvs and shit. If they headlined John, it was an off week, probably. And, you know, they knew what they were getting. Or they didn't know what they were getting, and they thought, well, we'll give it a shot. Plus, it's like if you get in with one of these improvs, I think you probably can kind of just get booked through on them. It's like, it's pretty sweet deal. Yeah, it's not really all that impressive. I doubt that they would ever choose John over Bob if people saw both of their, like, you know, demos, or if they actually had somebody who was booking the club who's like, I'm going to go see John, I'm going to go see Bob. And just based on their comedy do it, you know. A lot of real comedians don't sell tickets. A lot. And I don't know how many tickets John sells at this point, really. You know, he's got a name. You know, Howard Stern, from Howard Stern. So anybody, you know, who liked Stern might come. It's true. I've seen Bob do comedy. Not calling Bob a real comedian is a fantasy. Bob Levy is Bob Levy is absolutely a stand-up comedian. Absolutely. And a funny guy on top of that. You know, John's this is just a shit about John. I can't wait to get to the Dixon stuff. Bob rather. I'm listening now. He said, you perform at firehouses. You know what? This will be shocking to John. You know, the venue does not the comedian make. I don't know why that's hard for him to get, but I guess it's because he approaches comedy from this. He's still trying to, like, do the snob appeal. John would, if John didn't have some kind of name recognition on coming in, John would never, ever get booked anywhere, nor would he get a laugh if he did get on stage. I mean, like, that's all he's got. Anyway, what does this have to do with, what does all this bullshit about real comedians and stuff have to do with anything? We saw what you did. You don't even have to be a real comedian to analyze that to any degree. If anybody even can follow along with this John story, you can see what that was about. Please, John. Okay, John says I haven't performed in years and I'm broke. That's neither one of those things are true. But I'm not. Let me just not be defensive about it. Of course, I performed in the last few years. Of course, I performed this year. I've performed. Look, years. Yeah, I mean, it's lightened up in the last few years, but whatever. That's because I'm focusing on other stuff. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean a damn thing. I've performed a lot more than John has. I've performed, and here's another thing that I haven't done in years or ever is go on stage and just take a shit like John did, I've never done that ever. Like I've always at least done comedy when I show up to do comedy. When I'm there to do comedy, you'll know. And I'm booked to do Hackamania, of course, April 10th through 12th. I haven't worked in years, he says. I don't know what that has to do with anything anyway. Say I hadn't worked in years. So what? There's probably a lot of comedians that are superior to John who haven't worked in years. Yeah, what do you think? You're like relevant or something? I mean, does John think that he's like sort of happening and fresh or something because he's been on stage? You know what I have done in years? Written new jokes. I have done that. Yeah, I mean, every time I go on stage, there's new jokes. Whether I go on stage very often or not. You, on the other hand, you're just you're going around doing stuff like I don't know. The last place that I heard, was they were talking about today, Tukey and Vince, that he had like it was just tons of people who happen to be there. It's not like he has fans. It's not like you have a draw. Not like you have. When I say a name, I mean like in certain towns it's going to work, and in a lot of places it won't. Nobody gives a shit for the most part, and if they do come, then they are disappointed. So let's talk about the comedy of comedy. Yeah, you're talking about like whether or not I go on stage. Let's talk about the comedy of comedy. John's never been on fucking anything doing stand-up that I've seen. So I mean, it's absurd. John is a silly ass. He's a silly ass. What's he talking about? I mean, I have done stand-up on television. That's not a big boast, but it's like more than John can say. Nobody's ever put his stand-up on TV. Ever. So, I mean, I could be sitting here. He's never been on TV doing stand-up. He doesn't have any of his stand-up online. He doesn't have any stand-up anywhere that you can look at. But he doesn't even want people taping him because, blah, blah, blah. I've never made a big deal out of people not recording my shit. People want to hold up a fucking camera when I'm on stage? Great. It's never been an issue. Don't care. I love all these people who think they know what I should have done. Bob Levy's acting like he's the elder statesman of comedy. Just the guy that ate blue cheese dressing out of a girl's ass. Okay, so what? So what? So what? What does that prove? What does that prove? It was a different time, for one thing. Look, you can. People loved it wherever he was going. I'm sure that he never did that, and people were just like, ah. No, I mean, look, it is what it is. At least he's known for something on stage, that sounds comedic. The squeegee bit? What is the squeegee bit? I know it has something to do with ejaculating. I'm pretty sure of that. The hackiest thing you could possibly do. John, you don't get more unoriginal or hacky than John. He could, with his background, there's so much potential there, so much to talk about. He doesn't talk about any of that shit. He doesn't talk about anything interesting that I know of. What the stand-up that I've seen is pretty limited, but it's bad. He's doing that stupid fucking elephant thing. God, I hate it when he does that. Fuck you, dude. I mean, what a waste of fucking time. Why are you wasting my time? What a fucking retard. Let's see. What have I done stand-up wise in the last 10 years? First of all, he did his bad impression of me. Oh, hey, John C. Hey, John what have I done stand-up wise in the last 10 years? Well, I performed in, Jesus Christ. I mean, a lot of things. I worked in Vegas with comedians at Compound. I did that. I did it in Ohio. And I can't list everything, but I was on This Is Not Happening, Comedy Central, in the last 10 years, has over like a 1.2 million views or 1.25 million views, something like that. Pat Dixon, This Is Not Happening. You can find it on YouTube. It's got a lot of views. What stand-up video of John's has over 1 million views? What stand-up video of John's is there? It's high quality, too. It looks great. It's in the last 10 years. Fuck, I don't know. Other stuff, other shows. I mean, like, to sit here and list every show, I'm not that defensive. But, yeah, I mean, I've done stuff in the last 10 years. Hell, I've, in the last 10 years, geez, I was still in New York working the clubs and, like, within the last 10 years. This guy's nuts. Okay. He says tonight he did a show and he crushed it and he killed it. John is like the ultimate unreliable narrator of his own life. He is. We don't believe anything he says. I don't. You'd have to be stupid to think that he crushed someplace. Where did you crush? He's got the laugh ears, man. He's got the laugh ears. He said people's sides were aching after he did that pathetic read-through attempt, at Rodney's. Oh, their sides were aching. Shut up. No, they weren't. Anyway, he said he crushed it. No, you didn't. Want a picture with the Duke? I got 25 on the cash. Yeah, that's not that big of a brag at all. 2,500 cash. Shit, dude. Come on, man. I mean, that's for stand-up, if you're some kind of celebrity act, if you think you are. Where were these venues? Were they real comedy clubs? I would almost say that anywhere John is stops being a real comedy club the moment he's on stage. Maybe the moment he's booked. What does Pat Dixon have for doing stand-up this weekend? Okay, I mean, you had stand-up-wise, you were busier than me. Stand-up-wise, you made more money than me. But stand-up-wise, you will never be a fraction of the comedian I am. That I guarantee. So are we talking about comedy, or are we talking about who had a better weekend? Because you can look up and down, whatever, not up and down anything. Forget that. But you look at a lot of people working. There's a lot of people working tonight. A lot of people worked last night. It's Friday and Saturday night. Every comedy club in the country, everywhere there is. And people making different amounts of money and doing different amounts of time and getting different amounts of laughs. I assure you, John got fewer laughs than any of them. I'm almost sure of it. He's not funny. Like, I mean, he can, try to throw out all this, like, bullshit about, who's done what in the last 10 years and everything. Put us on a stage. But and I guess he would have to read some shit, right? Because he knows he's going to lose. That's what he does when he knows he's going to lose. He just does something fucking retarded and acts like it's a victory. That's what weak people do. John's weak. I mean, he might be stubborn, but he's a weak person. And a weak stand-up on top of all that. I mean, forget putting his whole life on trial like I was just talking about, Like he's doing with me. Like he's talking about my stand-up or whatever. I can't even believe he's bothering to try and be critical of somebody like me. If he's so far above. He's going through, what does Bob Levy have for doing stand-up this weekend? What does Shitway have for doing stand-up this weekend? What is Kevin Brennan have for doing stand-up weekend? Big own, John. Big own. I mean, everybody knows that's how you judge stand-up comedy. Is by this weekend, right? And how much money they made. Yes, I'm going to comment on you. Listening right now. Listening. He's like, I've achieved so much more than they have, and they're going to comment on me. Yeah. Look, I mean, I don't understand. Everybody's commenting on you. Everybody's commenting on you. Why are you singling out anybody here? I mean, look, I can't help it if my belief, my opinion about it happens to align with reality, and everybody else that sees reality. Most people watching go, oh, man, that was a big disaster. What a shitty fucking act he did. Look, I'm not. The fact that it's even being debated is stupid. It's the fact that it's even a conversation. John. I said it way back when. The first thing I said that fucking offended him, I go, well, it's not really a comedian. John, your name never comes up about stand-up comics, and it never will. You're not one of those. You're not one. You're just not. And it's not like some point of pride or anything like that. Get your money. Great, man. That's fantastic. If you can get people to book you, based on your whatever, you're the name Stuttering John of the Howard Stern show, great. That doesn't make you a comedian. You know who else they would book? I don't know. Name any fucking, Steve Buscemi. They would book Steve Buscemi. Character actor. I don't think he's a comic. I bet he would be funnier on stage than John, but he's not a comic. And let's go, I mean, I can't even think of an actor low enough to say, yeah, like that's the right amount of name recognition and the right amount of like not being a comedian. I mean, they were soap stars. They bring soap opera people to come in that I've never heard of, but they'll come in and housewives know who the fuck they are. At least they sell the place out. You don't even do that. John doesn't even he doesn't even sell a shitload of tickets with his stupid fucking name. The only thing that is comedic about John is that you can't take him seriously, You said the last time I did a full set was in December. Yeah. Where's all this work? Where is all this work, John? I cut it down, and plus I couldn't remember anything I was supposed to be doing. That's what he's saying right now. Nobody loves you, John. Every single person wanted pictures of me. You know what? I'm listening to it. He got a spit take, he says. He said people at her, he said it made a lady do a spit take, and he said people at her table were saying my sides were hurting. No. John, that's the second time you've told that lie. No one has ever said that about you. No one has ever said that about you. You're a liar. I'm just calling you a liar. That's it. That's the dumbest fucking story I've ever heard. People at her table, my sides are hurting. Oh, I'm laughing so hard at this man. My sides are hurting. It's never happened. I don't even think people typically make that remark. Of course, then again, I've only been doing comedy for 30 years. Stand up, while he was jerking off on Howard Stern, answering phones and shit. Now, look, hey, don't knock it, right? It's a career maker for him. I don't blame him. Good for him. But it's not doing stand-up. And not that doing stand-up is better or worse than answering phones for Stern. I'm just saying one is comedy and one isn't. One is stand-up, one is not. That's not training you to do stand-up. You see, I did all that. I did that shit. You can't really give me that much credit, for being like a famous or rich or accomplished, per se, stand-up, I've done stuff. I mean, I've done a hell of a lot more in stand-up than him before the internet was around, TV, whatever, But, I mean, the internet was around, but you know what I mean. But before TV was completely irrelevant, I was on it. And this asshole wasn't. He never did anything like that. I mean, it's what he did brought him great fame, great, at least the opportunity for great fortune. I know he made a lot of money on Leno. But it's not doing stand-up comedy. It just isn't. So, I mean, come on, dude. Are we talking about stand-up? What are we talking about? Because I've seen what you do, and it sucks. I've seen what John does. It's lazy. And I don't know how long he's been doing this act that he does. But it is almost inconceivable that in a regular show with any qualified 30-minute middle act will blow John off the stage 101 times out of 100. It's that lopsided. He's asking when Pat Dixon, when is that? Have you ever heard anybody say that? And yeah, never. I mean, maybe. I don't remember shit like that. I know that shit like that's been said. I've had people coming out and going like, oh, my God, I laughed so hard and all that kind of shit, But, I mean, I'm not putting it under my pillow at night, John. It's your job to make them laugh. Really, your job is to sell drinks, but it's, ostensibly to get laughs. As a comedian, you do that. So a spit take, somebody saying their sides hurt and shit, that's not going to stick with me. That's just all in a day's work at this point. Now, I'm not going to say, like I said, I've never heard anybody sitting. I've never heard multiple people at a table, some lady spitting out her drink and people actually saying, my sides hurt, which is what he claims happened. My sides hurt. Mine too. That's what it would have to be. My sides are aching from laughter. Yeah, mine too. That just didn't happen. I don't care what you say. It's like anybody could say they, okay, John, yeah, I did stand up last night. I made $5,000, and everybody had to be taken to the hospital. He's trying to say, this is what was said to me tonight. When have you ever had that said to you? All right, John, you fucking clown hack. I can't believe I knew that if I watched this and entertained it, I'd be like, oh, God. We'll have the wheel of concern in a moment because this guy is a fucking idiot. What an idiot. It's just, I'm sorry. If you're joining us, I'm listening to Stuttering John, pausing it and talking. You know why? Because, oh my God, John strikes people midstream for watching his face. Let me just describe it for you. Fat, ugly John face, sitting there with his stupid fucking hangers on the door. If you haven't seen the tweet from Liquid Cryptid, thanks for tweeting and tagging me in the tweet there. Adding me and Bob. And I'm commenting, on the shit that he's saying and trying to, I'm repeating it because that's what it's come to now. That's what it's come to now. If you value your channel, this John right here, man, he does not like people watching his clips and talking about him. He's too weak for that. Mr. Famous, right? Mr. fucking Celebrity is so fucking petty. John is so petty and so weak that if you watch his clips and comment, he's going to fucking, fuck up your channel for it? And the clip was even from like Joe Burrow or whatever. So, I mean, it's like 1 degree removed. But this fucking guy can't take that. He doesn't want that. He can't stand the comments. Can't stand people watching him and saying shit. He's watched me before. What did I do? You fucking idiot, John. But oh yeah, he gets this shit. He gets it done. He gets people fucked up. He gets their channels fucked up for watching him. Weak, petty, girly. He's saying Bob's a bad crowd work comic. Bad. He's funny, is what he is. Yeah, you see, Bob is funny. Bob can be funny without material. Sorry, John, you can't. You can't be funny with the so-called material that you've written or had written for you by somebody who likewise sucks at writing jokes, but you'd rather have somebody who's like, I don't know where his fucking material came from. Stole. Yeah, who knows? But I mean, I know where his comedian. I guess the material on at that Rodney show. You know, he's certainly not funny with that. Yeah, you see, Bob is a funny guy. He's a funny man, a funny person. Doesn't need material. Extremely talented, Bob is. Now he's going on and on about the blue cheese. The blue cheese, rather. Not the blue cheese. The blue cheese. I'm saying. He said, maybe I'm wrong. Jerry Seinfeld, if that is a closer. No, I remember Jerry Seinfeld. He went to Rodney's and read a police report to settle a petty vendetta. He thought that's what Jerry Seinfeld did. Is Jerry Seinfeld gonna be the fucking standard all of a sudden? Please, John, you fucking idiot. Maybe I'm wrong. Jerry Seinfeld, if that is a closer. The next comedian he went to, Howie Mandel. Howie Mandel. Out of a woman's ass. All right, so he said, "Stop thinking you're the comedy guru." Okay, well, I can assure you. Okay, you can't. Anybody arguing with this, you got to be crazy. But John, you know, Bob Levy and me both, each of us have forgotten more about comedy than you've ever learned. And I get you don't like that, you know. I get that makes you feel a certain way, you know. Sure. I get it, you know. I get that you're insecure about your comedy. You should be. You know, you should be insecure about your comedy. Your comedy's not good. Hit the like button, please. Why don't this 41 likes? We can do a little better. It's John, you got to stop. But you won't, of course. You're not going to stop, you know, but you should stop. No, the lessons of stand-up comedy don't come from, like, just, you know, being on some fucking Stern show or something like that. Oh.
Dirty Jersey. Dirty Jersey rat. Dirty Jersey rat. Dirty Jersey.
You broke my heart, Dirty Jersey. You broke my heart. Mainly by including Granny. That's my main issue.
You know what? You weren't. I know that your ass was not going to bring this up.